Hey, my name's James Nicholson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to give you a huge update on the new proposals for stamp duty reform from the government. You see, right now, the government is figuring out how can they raise more tax. And stamp duty is a great earner for them. In fact, they earn about 18 billion per year. Now, a lot of people are anti-stamp duty. They feel it's a tax at the wrong time and it slows down a property market. You see, if you're buying a property, you've got so many costs. You've got the solicitors, you've got removal costs, you've got mortgage broker costs, you've got your deposit, and then you've got this huge stamp duty burden. And so what the government is looking at is how can we make that a little easier and get the property market moving. So in this video, I'm going to give you the update on what their new idea is around stamp duty and how it could impact the property market in a huge way. Now, if you're new around here and you haven't done before, do make sure you subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We're on the way to 50,000 subscribers. And by subscribing, you'll get all the latest house price news, interest rate news, stamp duty updates as well, and much, much more. And let's get some views on this video so people are aware what's going on. Your part's simple. All you need to do is smash like, tickle like, do something to the like button. That helps with the YouTube algorithm, and that's really helped the channel grow so far. So thanks to everyone that does that. So stamp duty. We did a video last month. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you'll know I was walking in a field in that video, if that jogs your memory. And that was one of the most watched videos on the channel this year. And that was when they were proposing at the time that we move on to something called a property tax rather than having stamp duty. So when you purchased a property that was over £500,000, in that instant, you would move on to property tax. There'd be no stamp duty up front, but there would then be an annual cost, and that would replace the stamp duty and your council tax as well. Well, that didn't seem very popular. Just my video on it got nearly 300,000 views. Imagine all of the other media coverage on that. And so the government are looking at stuff like that. They're looking at how do people react to that kind of stuff. And so if you feel that this new idea that I'm going to talk to you isn't great, do comment below. Or even just if you think it's a good idea, comment below. Because let's get more people aware of what's going on. And so what they're looking at now is staggered payments. So what they're considering is staggering your stamp duty over a few years. So rather than paying your big lump sum up front, you're going to get a bill that you can pay over 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That's to be determined, and that's what they'll give us the finer details if this is what they actually end up doing in the budget. So staggering it rather than a property tax. Now, my opinion is that that's actually better. That is actually better than the property tax, because the property tax for some people would mean they wouldn't want to move, because once they do that new transaction, now they've got a huge bill for life. Whereas, if you get the property tax, that route that they were talking about last month, then you would get that massive bill forever, and that's the problem when you retire. And so a lot of people wouldn't be interested in that. Whereas this staggered stamp duty would get people moving. And I think this could be a smart way to get the property market moving again. Because let's just say you want to buy a flat and you don't have to save all your stamp duty up in one go. You might be able to start looking and bring that transaction forward. And that's what the government's looking to do. You see, just before the stamp duty holiday that we had ended in the end of March this year, 500,000 transactions happened in that first quarter. Since then, the market is really quiet. And so in the next 9 months of this year, we're only expecting another 500,000 transactions to actually happen, which is a real slowdown in the market. And that means the government isn't going to collect as much stamp duty as they hoped. So normally we're getting around 8 to 18 billion in stamp duty. And so this could really get the market moving again. So what else are they saying? And what would be the outcomes of this? I think that if you did do this, because people aren't feeling the pain of paying that up front, I think house prices would actually go up. I think people would look at this and say, you know what, I can actually afford to buy a 2-bed instead of a 1-bed, or the nicer 2-bed, or the nicer 1-bed property. And so they might go up a level when they're looking to purchase. And that often is what happens. When you go to a broker and the broker says you can get 500 grand and borrow that, most people would spend 500 grand. They wouldn't spend 400 grand. Some would, but most people spend the maximum they can borrow. And so I think that if you have any increase in borrowing capacity, and remember this, you've got interest rates that are coming down, you've got affordability that is slightly improving, and if you take off that front-loaded bill, that is going to help somewhat. So I don't think it will make house prices go crazy, but I do think it'll get more people into the market, which will mean house prices move again. Now, estate agents would be ecstatic with this, because 79% of estate agents think stamp duty should be abolished. What I found crazy is that 21% of estate agents don't. I would think if I was an estate agent, I would want stamp duty abolished because I would get lots more transactions done. But for some reason, 21% of them don't. But look, this staggered payment could actually be a good solution, because the property tax one, that was really, really not popular at all. In fact, I went through the video and personally replied to 6,000 comments on that video that we talked about property tax, and that was not popular. The fact that people would get a long-term bill, I think, would really slow down the property market. So you've got two options on the table right now. You've got property tax, which is something that they're considering, and that's a long-term payment, an increase in your costs forever, or at least until another government takes that away. Or you've got this Klarna sort of stamp duty. Buy now, pay later, or pay in installments. This option, if you're trying to get the property market moving, I think this is the smarter option. And I think this would get the property market moving. And I think most people, and that's what I'm asking you, what do you think in the comments below? I think most people would prefer to be able to pay that stamp duty over a period of time. Now, here's one thing that lenders will consider. This would be taken into account in your calculations, that you've got this kind of money, because your outgoings are obviously going to go up by your mortgage payment and by your stamp duty payment. So that would be factored into any, anything that the mortgage company is looking into, an affordability checks on you. Anyway, do comment below, do smash like and subscribe. And while you're here, if you haven't done already, do grab Mortgage Secrets, how to get the best mortgage deal in 2025. More than 2,000 people have done that. That will teach you how to get the best broker, how to get off-market mortgage deals. Think of Direct Line for car insurance, but for the mortgage market. There are lenders out there that aren't on the comparison sites and aren't with brokers. So click in the description, click in the first comment, grab a copy of that while you're here. Do also check out all the other content as well on the channel, including this video right here.